welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, spicier.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 90s.
On this episode, Spice World from 1997.
I'm Anders, and you know, it's hard for me. I mean, having to decide whether to wear the little Gucci dress, or the little Gucci dress.
I'm Emma. You've been charged with releasing a single that is by no means as kicking as your previous records, nor does it have such a dirty fat bass line. You are sentenced to having your next record enter the charts at 179 and having it fall completely out the following week. Before we get into it, can I just say, we're in Britain! Oh my god!
Hooray!
This is a British movie!
British movie! This is the first British movie.
Da, 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 da,
Victoria and Elizabeth too.
The sequel.
Welcome, even more Queenie. This is great, right? We're doing a British movie.
I'm so ready, finally, for the incredible British film industry to be spectacularly showcased.
Yeah.
In an amazing film that we're going to talk about on our podcast. Finally, Britain gets a turn.
I think this movie really showed the world, and by the world mostly I mean America, what Britain is really like. It was an accurate documentary of Britain. So that's very, very good. And most importantly, Emma, I just got to ask, are you ready to spice up your life?
All around the world.
Spice up your life.
Every boy and every girl.
Spice up your life.
I'm ready. Let's get
spice up your life.
Spicy.
Spice up your life.
Spice it up now.
Spice. If you don't spice your life up just a little bit, then I'm very disappointed in you. Girl power.
Yeah. Girl power.
Blah, blah, blah. Girl power. Have you ever seen this movie before?
Nope. No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
Have you?
Yeah, man, I saw this in the theater, and I remember it vividly.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
And how many minutes into the movie exactly was it that you decided to move to Britain?
I had already packed my suitcases. It was 1997, and I was 14 years old, and I was already ready to go.
Was it when Victoria drove the bus across the bridge? You were like, yep.
That was the moment. How did you know that was the moment? No, I think it was the moment when the Spice Girls met the aliens that I thought, Britain's really kicking. I want to go there.
Hey, they have aliens there. We don't keep them all locked up in Area 51. They're just roaming around.
Yes, I remember seeing this in the theater, and I remember at the time really loving this movie. I think I saw it twice. I'm pretty sure I saw this movie twice.
Wow.
The year was 1997, and it was just all about the Spice Girls and Hanson and pretending that I didn't like the Spice Girls and Hanson to impress the other boys at school. Because in the 90s, it was mostly heavy, sad, grunge, blah, blah, guitar, and I'm sad music.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like it. Guitars, right, guys? Grunge, right, friends?
Feelings. Emotions.
I have so many of them.
Yeah.
And then I'd go home and I would listen to my Wannabe single by myself.
Which one was your favorite?
Oh, I was a Jerry. I was a
Really?
Yeah, I was really into Jerry Halliwell.
Really? Interesting.
She was beautiful. She is beautiful. She's like a funky, cool redhead.
Yeah.
And she had a Union Jack dress. Iconic. And also, she was she dressed the girl. People liked the Spice Girls for lots of reasons. Mostly they were quite talented singers. And they were good looking, and that's
good-looking
all I'll
young
say
ladies.
about that. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Sorry, that, could make me sound like a creep, but I was 14.
Easy on the eyes. And Jerry Halliwell's exposing herself can wake a young boy from a coma, right? So, hey, if that's not girl power, I don't know what is.
I would ask you what your favorite was, but you weren't into the Spice Girls, were you?
I think I was just a little bit too young for them. I mean, I would have been sort of 4-ish when this film came out.
Oh, that's a real buzzkill.
Sorry. Oh dear.
Oh, I'm back. All right. Girl power.
Hooray.
Woo! When two become one.
There was a boy in the year above me at school that always used to call me Emma Bunton.
Oh, right, because your name is Emma.
And he would say, he'd be like, "Oh, Emma Bunton." And I'd be like, "That's not my name. Why are you calling me that?" And I'm pretty sure I like asked someone like, why does this dude keep calling me Emma Bunton? That isn't my name. And he was like, "Oh, it's the Spice Girl."
Oh.
And then I was like, okay, oh, interesting. All right, so this person who has the same name as me, I must find out more about them, and I must find out what they're like. Maybe we're similar. And then I saw her whole Baby Spice vibe, and I was like, no, I'm not really channeling the Baby Spice vibes. As an adult, I think I mean I don't know if this is a popular answer or an unpopular answer actually, but I really like Victoria Beckham. I really like Posh Spice.
Yeah, okay.
Because she's a cool fashion designer, and I'm
Yeah.
quite interested in that. And she has a nice like family life. It looks like anyway.
Also, kind of funny and sad though. Would you like to know that famously, when performing live, Victoria Beckham's microphone was often switched off.
Well, yeah. I mean, but there's the thing. Right?
She wasn't good at singing.
a-
It's fine.
Everyone has a function, and she has a lot to offer, and her voice wasn't necessarily one of them, and that's okay.
But why was she in a famous singing band?
Because, but there's always going to be this argument, though, isn't there? And I know that we do need to talk about what happened.
We'll
in
talk about the
some
movie
point,
in a
but,
second.
But
it's
we'll
fine.
get to it. We'll get to it.
It's fine.
There's this constant ongoing thing, which is that like there's like the authenticity of musicians, right?
Yes.
In the sense that like, oh, well, this person who recorded their own album on their own in their basement playing all 15 instruments by themselves, and they wrote the whole thing, and it has the same complexity as like a Mozart's concertos or whatever.
You're talking about Elliott Smith. Yes, continue.
Or you have somebody who had a bunch of songs written for them, and then they performed them and their voice was auto-tuned. And to that I say, Britney Spears still has a lot of value to offer the world.
She's super talented, and I'm with you on that. I also think that the Spice Girls are very talented, but I just don't, I don't want to harp on about it, but like they auditioned for this band.
You don't want to harp her on about it, get it? Because her daughter's named Harper. Sorry, carry on.
That's a niche pun. I really like that.
Yeah, her name's Harper Seven, which I think is quite a cool name.
The name Seven comes from Seinfeld. That's George Costanza says, you want a beautiful name for your kid? You want a beautiful name?
Yeah.
Seven.
Salador.
Right? He also suggests Soda. You want a good name for your kid? Soda.
Soda is a good name.
Right? Why not?
Soda. Hey, Soda.
Soda, get out of the pool. It's time for lunch.
Come and play with Seven. She's a nice girl. And you should meet her mum. She's not a very good singer, but she's got a nice dress on.
Soda, were you playing with Seven's board game?
And don't be mean to Salador.
Come on, she's
Yes, her name is unusual, but
she's so little.
but it just sounds so nice.
Kids, we love you all. Soda, you're my favorite. Seven, you're winning my affection. And Salador, don't get me started. We had our ups and downs, but since you turned 3, I've really become accustomed to you, and I even might love you. I want you all to play together, okay? I want you to be sisters, because that's what you are.
Which Spice Girl are you, Anders?
If I was a Spice Girl,
Yeah, which one are you?
I think I'd probably be either like Tidy Spice. That's the Spice I'd be,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or quite possibly, just to be consistent with the dynamic we've already been discussing about how much older I am than you, I'd probably be Old Spice.
Old Spice.
Yep. What about you?
Nerd Spice.
Nerd Spice, Drama Queen Spice.
Yeah. The duality of my personality. Quite far into this podcast, should we recap what happened in this film?
Jesus, all right.
If we can.
Okay?
If we can.
I'm going to give it a go if that's okay, and
I think you are going to have to, because I'm not going to lie, I found this film really hard to follow, so I think it is going to have to be you.
Movie is straight up bananas. Okay, let me give you a couple of highlights. The first is and I wouldn't say that IMDb is the ultimate and the only source of rating, right? Everyone knows that the only source of rating for films is our podcast. But for what it's worth, this movie has a 3.5 on IMDb. Okay? That is lower than low. 3.5, Emma.
Yeah.
3.5. Okay?
Whew.
Ratings aside, let me see if I can tell you what happened in this movie, and then we're going to pick apart a few things. It's a movie about the Spice Girls. There are, by my count, 3 external factors that are waging war against the Spice Girls in this film, which is basically a long music video with different scenes interstitched, right? You've got an unauthorized documentary film crew trying to make a movie about the Spice Girls. You have 2 American filmmakers who are trying to pitch a movie about the Spice Girls. And you have the owner of a famous newspaper who's trying to make the Spice Girls break up so that they can make a good news story about the Spice Girls. And I haven't even talked about Sir Roger Moore yet, who's also in this movie. And I can't even remember, if I'm being really honest, why is he the chief of the newspaper or something? Who is he?
I don't even know. He's just like a kind of, I think he's there as almost like a parody of like a James Bond
for sure.
boss.
Yeah, that
villain.
makes sense because he was James Bond.
Yeah, and he's stroking a cat the first time you see him, and any time anyone's stroking a cat, whether or not they play James Bond, is a James Bond.
You remember
thing.
what he's stroking the next time?
There was a bit where he was stroking a piglet.
Yes, it's a piglet. He's feeding a piglet with a bottle.
He's just there, like he's on the end of the phone, and he's kind of pressuring Richard E. Grant's character.
Yes.
And
yes.
he just says like a bunch of like random cryptic things.
And I love it.
Like, which is very funny.
It didn't make any sense, but I loved it so much. And he what did he say? He says, at one point he says, when the rabbit of chaos is pursued by the ferret of disorder through the fields of anarchy, it is time to hang your pants on the hook of darkness, whether they're clean or not. Hey, Sir Roger Moore. Hey, 00, Mr. 7, Mr. Bond, James Bond, if you will. What the heck was that?
I like to think he improvised that.
Yeah, well, it's like, like my mom always talked about the rabbit of chaos and, of course, the ferret of disorder.
Yeah.
So anyway, James Bond is in this movie, and that's fun. And all of these people are trying to make stuff happen with the Spice Girls. And guess what? The Spice Girls, they know nothing about any of this stuff the whole time, right?
I think their core emotional plot is supposed to be that they're concerned about their friend who's about to have a baby.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that. Their friend's about to have a baby, and they are collectively the godmother of this baby, right?
Yeah, that's supposed to be their person.
That's what's happening.
There as a collective, they're like, oh, we're in a famous girl band, so we have to do famous girl band stuff, but we also care about our friend and we want to hang out with our friend because she's about to have a baby, and also her husband just left her.
Yeah, that sucks.
Which is very casually mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. So
how's Steven? Oh, he left me. Oh, no. Oh,
but we're with you now, except we got a big pop concert to do tomorrow, so have the baby. And then we'll do the concert. And then they're not going to do the concert, and everyone's worried that they're not going to do the concert. And they're stressed out because what if they don't do the concert? Don't worry, they do the concert.
Yeah.
And then in the end...
Imagine if they didn't. Imagine if they just cuts.
Would have made the movie better. Would have made the movie better. Guess what? Thousands and thousands of ticket holders disappointed because their so-called love of their lives, this amazing band, the Spice Girls, just screwed them over and decided not to go. Anyway, this movie's about the Spice Girls doing a concert, but also their friend has a baby, and a bunch of people want to make a movie about them for some reason and or sabotage them. But all is fine in the end because they play the concert and then the movie is over.
Wow. Cool. And that's the podcast done. No further comments.
You have further comments.
No, I
Trust
have
me,
nothing
you've
to
got-
say.
I know you,
Nothing-
Emma. You've got a
nothing
few
to
things
say.
to say.
Nothing to say. Can I give you a quick fire list of highlights?
Yes, please do.
So here are some things that happen in this film. There's a bit where two people are in an office, and then it starts raining in the office.
Yeah, what was that about?
There's a bit where there's a random parody of Poirot with Hugh Laurie as Poirot
Yeah.
for about a minute.
What was that about?
There's a bit where a guy comes out of a toilet. There's a bit where Richard E. Grant criticizes the movie in the movie.
What was that about?
Roger Moore bottle feeds a piglet.
That's
There's
fine.
a bit where they go to a club where the Spice Girls is playing and no one recognizes that they're the Spice Girls.
That's totally fine. That happens.
A woman gives birth. There's a bit where they go into the bus and the bus is bigger on the inside. Some aliens ask Jerry Halliwell for a selfie. It was just like, it was so wild. It was like being shaken from side to side. You know, like somebody it's like Jerry Halliwell reached out of the screen, grabbed me by my shoulders and just violently shook me from side to side.
14-year-old me would have loved that.
All right. So that was very much the experience. It was just like thing after thing after thing, and I was like, oh, okay, now this is happening.
Yep.
Now I'm over here. Now we're over here. Oh, look, there's Stephen Fry. Oh, it's Bob Geldof. Oh, okay, all right, great.
Yeah, fine. Can I just say, I mean, while we're on the subject of the bananasness of this movie,
Yeah.
the famous people in this movie, you already said it. Stephen Fry, yes, check.
Yes.
Elton John,
Yep.
check. Yep, he was there. Yep. Bob Geldof, yep, sure. Why not? And as you say, Hugh Laurie is there as Poirot. That's fine. We needed that. Did you notice that the bus driver of that huge interior bus was none other than Meatloaf?
Yeah.
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf is in this movie.
I see your Meatloaf and I raise you Jules Holland.
Jules Holland is in this movie.
Elvis Costello.
Elvis Costello, one of the most
Jonathan
famous
Ross.
musicians of all time, is in this movie. And you're right, yeah.
Jennifer Saunders. obviously.
Jonathan Ross, Jennifer Saunders. Why not? Because it's
Why
a
not?
British movie, so why not?
Yeah.
Dude, did you notice the time when Meatloaf, the bus driver, said, and I quote, I love these Spice Girls, and I would do anything for them.
But I
won't
won't
do that.
Do that.
And that he was referring to was to somehow unclog the toilet in the bus.
Don't you just love a cheap joke? Don't you just love a cheap and obvious joke?
Come on, Meatloaf, man. You're like you bat out of hell. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that to yourself 25 years ago, man. What are you doing here?
I think it's important to mention at this point. This film was a massive commercial success.
It was
right?
huge.
It was a massive commercial success. Totally critically panned.
Yeah.
Universally.
Yes.
But a massive criticals.
Didn't
But
matter.
a massive financial success.
Didn't matter. You know why? Because the Spice Girls were the biggest thing ever in the 90s.
Do you think they're going to have a huge resurgence? You know how, like, disco is coming back? Do you think in, like, 10 years' time everyone's going to be into the Spice Girls again?
Dude, here's the thing. I think everyone's still into the Spice Girls. I think they
Okay.
are. I think they're still back, if that's the
Yeah.
thing. But I think that eventually they'll do a mega reunion. They tried to do it last year, but something happened.
Coronavirus.
Right? And that's why it didn't happen. Did you know that, speaking of success, yes, this movie was a massive success. Massive. The Spice Girls still hold the title, the record, the prize, I don't know, whatever. The Spice Girls are the most successful girl band. They're actually the most successful female artist of all time.
Wow.
right?
I mean, it's kind of not surprising because, like,
Yeah.
it's like I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who hadn't like heard of them at least.
So that's the thing. Rolling Stone magazine recently named them the most recognizable female band ever, right?
Yeah.
So I think universally, probably even now, everywhere they go, people would know who they are because they're the Spice Girls, even though they haven't released an album in like 15 years.
Yeah. Should we just get something out of the way really quickly?
What? Yeah, sure.
This film was trash. It was really bad. It was really badly written. It's silly.
So
And it doesn't make
bad.
any sense.
So bad.
If you watch it, it's fun, I guess. If you like the Spice Girls, it's fun. But as a movie, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the Spice Girls more.
Hey, listen. Hey, Spice Girls. I just have a question for you, okay? Trust it, use it, prove it, groove it. Who do you think you are, okay? Swing it, shake it, move it, make it.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are?
You made a bad movie at the height of your fame.
And I think I read that it was their idea to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fine. And hey, it's going to make you so much money, right, doing something like this.
Yeah.
It is a little unfair because I think probably Jerry and Mel C were pretty good at acting, but I think the others, it's not really their thing.
No.
And besides whether or not you're good at acting, playing yourself is very difficult.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing to do. And also, like, you've got to be fun and you've got to be essentially playing the persona that your fans are expecting of you. You know, we can relate.
I get it.
We have to feel the pressure of what the fans want, right? We can understand
right. Stop telling me what to do.
Yeah, I just want to hang out with my pregnant friend in a club, apparently. But anyway, so it's just like, it's a very difficult thing to do. And, you know, a lot of people probably, I feel like I always say this, but a lot of people probably really love this movie.
Yeah, they do.
And that's great. Like, good. You should love it. You should enjoy stuff like this. This is made to be enjoyed, and that's absolutely fine.
Have you ever seen A Hard Day's Night?
I sure have.
It's not a good movie, right? It's not a good movie, but we love it. Do you know why?
We do love it. Because
it's the
four
Beatles.
cheeky boys.
Right? Mucking about, right? And we love it because we love that band, and people loved this movie, and probably still do love this movie because people love the Spice Girls. The challenge is, much like the Beatles and the Spice Girls, they're great bands, okay? I'm not here to dispute that. And, you know, I've already said that I liked them when I was a teenager, but even now, you know, listening to the Spice Girls back years later, they put out some bops, man. You can't deny that, right? And so, but both bands, the Beatles and the Spice Girls, which I never thought I would compare until this very day, they released films that were very, very indulgent at the height of their popularity. And it's both sort of weird, but also fine, because it's like, they're not filmmakers. The Spice Girls are not they're not screenwriters, right? They were just a band that were like, we're famous, let's make a movie, and their fans went, whatever you make, we're gonna love it. I don't care.
I think it's also completely reasonable to expect that in this world, people who have one profession, it's fair enough that they should also try and ensure that they have some other revenue streams as well
right.
that support their profession. Like, everyone always gets so annoyed about like musicians becoming actors or vice versa.
You're gonna talk about Lady Gaga, aren't you?
Well, I mean, look, she obviously has an unfair advantage because she trained as an actor initially, and she initially wanted to be an actor first, and obviously she's incredibly talented. She's got an Oscar, and you know.
Hey man,
you brought it up. You brought it up.
She was in that movie with that guy about singing, right?
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. What I'm saying is that I think there's like an element of like kind of pretentious like shaming over musicians who try and do acting stuff or make films or whatever, because it's like, you should do your thing and you should stick in your lane because that's what I understand. And this, you know, that tied in with another thing that I think the Spice Girls will have dealt with, which is like this idea of like cheesy, right?
Yeah.
Cheesy music, cheesy hits, cheesy pop music.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, ties into like the fact that they were formed. Oh, that's not authentic. That's not real. You're not real musicians. The fact that they make music of a certain genre, pop music or whatever. Oh, it's not as good. And, it's very marketable. And lots of people are like, oh, it's like,
so what?
So what? I think it also is easy to tie that into them being women as well. I think women are often kind of, sacrificed at the altar of cheesiness more severely than men are. But it's just like, it's fine to make entertainment for entertainment's sake. It really is. It doesn't devalue the experience of anyone else. I think you could say if they are actively taking up room that suppresses other artists, that is a bad thing. But that isn't done by the artists themselves. That's done by, labels and managers and stuff like that, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I will defend them.
Listen, I'm right there with you, right? Like, hey, guys. Hey, friends. Hey, folks. Big deal. Oh, no. Not every band can be, Haim or whatever, right? Sometimes a producer comes in and goes, we're going to form a band. Hey, you ever heard of NSYNC, right? Do you think they were all friends? You would think they were all friends from high school who just like formed a garage band or whatever and then, happened to become successful? No, man, that's a formed band.
Manufactured.
Yeah, and guess who was in that band? Justin Timberlake.
Justin T. Timberlake.
Sir J.T. Timberlake. Okay? Sometimes things naturally happen and it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's organic and that's lovely.
And he is bringing sexy back.
Right? He brought it back. It's been back for years.
It's back, yeah.
And I'm, for one...
What am I saying?
God, I'm so happy because for a long time, sexy was gone.
Thank God Justin is here like a ray of light coming over the hill. Look to the light on the third day.
Look at the light. I was always asking people, where's sexy? Hey, Mom and Dad, where did sexy go? Right? Yep. Hey, friends, where did sexy go? Oh, and then one day, the prophet, Justin Timberlake...
He said, those other boys, they don't know how to act.
Yeah. And he brought it back. Yeah. Okay. So what's the point? The point is... Anyway, sometimes nature finds a way. Other times, humans intervene. And you know what happens? Gold records. Okay?
Yeah. And also, great music, great performances, great experiences.
'Cause tonight is the night when two become one. That wouldn't have happened without people who went, let's make a band, right?
Yeah.
And is that less authentic than people who are friends going, let's write a song called Two Become One? Big deal.
Hey, man, you know what? My artistic soul really resonates with your artistic soul.
Totally.
So I think what we should do is we should combine our two, voices, our soul voices, and let them combine and create some really amazing artistic vibes.
And our auras. Don't forget our auras. They're coming together. And I've got my conga drums. It'll be great. Said nobody ever. Actually, said lots of people.
Said some people, but those people are, probably didn't end up really making it.
But dude, like, if someone steps in and auditions a few people so that they find the best person at singing and the best person at playing guitar and they put them together and then they become a band, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, music is for the fans of the music, okay?
Yeah.
And if you hear a song and you like it and it makes you feel a certain way and it resonates with you, does it matter if the people who put it together met in high school naturally or they were put together? And also, does it matter if the people who are singing the song wrote the song or if a group of people who are professionally good at writing music that touches you in your heart wrote the song?
100%.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's like, is it one person speaking their truth and telling you and shouting out into the void of the world, this is how I feel and this is what my life is like,
right.
And then somebody else picking that up and going, yeah, me too? Or is it someone going, what would somebody want to hear? It's that like external or internal process. But that translates to every form of media. It's like, do you really think every single person who works in a film is going, I'm just speaking my truth? Or are they going, what do people like these days? That's the world we live in. And the problems, like I say, come from the industries and they come from the people who are, profiting to a ridiculous extent off these musicians and artists.
Yeah.
That's where the issues are.
Here's what I feel. In this modern era that we're in, 2021, right, to date this, right, it's kind of the perfect mix of, if you are a, soul songwriter or a creator or whatever, you can make your thing and put it out there, and if it's good, people probably like it, and that's great. But equally, we're at the height of like manufactured good stuff, and at the end of the day, if you are a person who likes music and you hear a song that was written by someone on their own in a cabin in the woods, right, and they put it out there, I'm talking to you, Bon Iver, right? I'm talking to you, Justin Vernon, right? Or if you release a successful K-pop album, I'm talking to you, whatever K-pop bands are out there, which I've never heard of.
I guess BTS is a good...
Fine. BTS. I'm talking to you, BTS, right?
Yeah.
Especially the hot one, right? It doesn't matter because it's not about you, band.
Yeah.
It's about whoever listens to it. And I feel probably this is a sign of my age, but I don't care where the music comes from. I just care where it's going.
I think there's like it kind of ties into a discussion I think we've had before, which is about like, like when people are cancelled and then we have to decide whether or not we can still listen to their stuff and watch their things.
Yeah.
I'm really of the opinion that your relationship with the art as a consumer of it is so much more important than the relationship of the art to the person who made it. And so like we have in our culture, we love idolizing people. We love creating, geniuses and superheroes and celebrities.
Sure.
But like, if you heard a piece of music and it really meant something to you, that's so much more important than the person who wrote it and what they thought about it. In my opinion.
Totally. Let me draw another relevant and recent musical example, and by which, of course, I mean the mid-'60s Beach Boys hit, Don't Worry Baby, right? That song was written by Brian Wilson about a car race.
Cool.
Right? Two dudes going, I bet my car is faster than your car, right?
Nice.
And that song's about car racing, but people now hear it and they think about whatever challenge they're facing.
Yeah.
And they know that they're going to overcome it. So whilst what I'm saying is an artist might pen a song or paint a painting or write a, interpretive dance or whatever about one thing, and that's fine for them. But what's great about art, in my opinion, and it sounds like in your opinion, is we interpret it the way we want. So, and it's meaningful to us because of what it means to us. So, quite frankly, I don't care that the Spice Girls were in fact a manufactured band to, be the girl version of Take That. If you're into their music, and I, for one, kind of still am, if I listen to Say You'll Be There, I'm not thinking, well, this was probably written by a group of songwriters, manufactured, whatever. I'm thinking, it's a banging little funky riff, and I really like it.
And potentially also, like, I remember this time in my life when I listened to this song, and it reminds me of that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man. And that's what's great
and
about
these
art.
People and this moment, like it's all about your experience, and that's what it should be about. And it, if some people want to shame you for liking whatever you like, just don't listen to them.
Tell them to step off, right?
Yeah.
Take a little girl power and kick them in the face. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's when people are like, oh, if you could tell your like 15-year-old self one thing, what would you tell them? I think that's what I would say to myself. I'd be like, you like what you like, and that's really cool. And that's you, and that's who you are, and don't listen to anyone else.
You know what I'd tell my 15-year-old self? Dude, the internet's gonna be huge. You need to get in on the
Learn
ground
how to use it now.
floor, okay?
Yeah.
Write this down. You've never heard of this before. iPhone. Small I, big P.
Big P.
Trust me. Go to California. Invest in silicon, right?
Buy Apple stuff.
You're going to be so rich. You're going to be so rich. Do it today.
Hey, Anders.
Hey,
How's it going?
super good, as always.
I have a question for you. When was the last time you rated a podcast?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've never done it. Is it hard?
No, it's super easy. You should totally give it a go. In fact, why not do it right now? Just head on over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating. Because it's super easy and super fun. Well, it's not. I don't know if it's fun. It's if you could, that would be great. Thanks.
I'm doing it right now.
Whoa!
Hey, leaving reviews is the most fun thing ever.
See,
Forget
told
roller
you.
coasters. Review our podcast. So, what should we do here? All right, I feel like the world is our oyster. We have a movie that's one of the worst movies. No offense, Jerry, Mal, and the rest. Victoria. This movie was bad, and I'd say you should feel bad, but all of you are doing quite well. You're very successful. It's all fine. What do you want to do to make this movie better? How do we twist it?
When we use the word bad, what do we really mean?
Bad.
You know, like
We mean bad.
it
This movie was bad.
but it was fun. It was fun.
It
and
was
it was
fun.
wild. And it was wacky. What we could try is making it a little bit more wacky
Wackier. Okay.
and taking some of the elements that were already in there and maybe just kind of,
Are you saying that we should, in fact, make this movie about it's the same, but then when they meet the aliens abduct the Spice Girls up to space? Is that what you mean by wackier?
Yes, that's a great idea.
Right?
Space Girls.
That's one way to go. We could make it about
Yeah.
space and aliens. The other thing we could do, and maybe we should discuss this, is
Okay.
we could make this movie less awful, but also make it better for the concept of girl power and also of
Ooh,
feminism.
Okay.
Because the Spice Girls were supposed to be this beacon of hope for women. Am I wrong? Right?
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed
Yeah.
to be. They were proud. They were empowered. They were sexy, but they were sexy because they wanted to on their terms.
Yeah.
And they weren't exploited.
Kick ass.
And they were kick-ass, right?
Yeah.
So can we make this movie not cringy and bad for women?
Yes. I mean, okay. I have a few things that we'll just knock on the head before we go down that route.
Okay.
There's this quote that I remember hearing. I don't know who said it or where it came from, but it was something like, whilst we sit around waiting for angels, the devils win. And it's this idea of like, if you try and make everything perfect, then nothing can really progress because nothing is perfect, So like, you can't be a
Sure.
perfect feminist. You can't be a perfect, social justice warrior. Nothing can be done perfectly because if we're all trying to be perfect in that regard, we won't get anywhere. So that's one thing to say. Another thing to say is the Spice Girls had a very specific purpose at a very specific place and time.
Sure.
That purpose is now changed, I think.
Yes.
What they did was they created something that was palatable and marketable and would be received well at the right time.
Yeah.
And so, people really like that. And from this girl power perspective, that needed to happen then. I think the thing is that it is marketable feminism, and marketable feminism is any time a business or a brand or a company or a structure realizes that they should involve themselves with something like feminism because it profits them.
Mm-hmm.
A common example at the moment is like pride festivals and pride marches and stuff.
Yeah.
At the moment, businesses and brands love engaging with that. And around the months of June and July, you'll often see loads of brands that are like doing loads of pride themed stuff, but then they don't actually ever donate any money or do anything real. It's a slightly performative thing.
Yep.
So it's kind of like with marketable feminism, with feminism that is designed to fit into a space that people will allow, there's always an element to which that isn't going to fully do the work that needs to be done.
Yep.
I think the thing with the Spice Girls is that they're doing it it's hard to ignore the fact that it is designed to be very appealing to men, and it is designed to be,
Yeah.
oh, look how feisty they are, look how fearless they are. Isn't this great? You know? And it's like, it's kind of not.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Look how fearless they are, but also, they're dressed in a certain way, right? And
when what we all know, real feminism is women not caring about anything that men think and just moving to Venus and just leaving them here on the planet.
I mean, listen,
that's real feminism.
I don't want to be that guy, but I'm not really sure what real feminism is anymore. But what I know is, watching this movie, I was like, wow. Do you know that? You know that time when Jerry Halliwell wears that quite iconic Union Jack dress?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right? It's a great design. It's a great dress. It's very powerful. It's very, iconic. They were part of the like cool Britannica 90s thing. I get it, right? But I look at it and I'm like, that's a cool dress. It's too short though, because it's a dress and and I can just see your underwear, right? And my question is that empowering? Is that feminism? Is that girl power? Or is it just a human being who is dressed in a provocative way for people to ogle, right?
Consume,
and I don't understand that. I don't understand the difference between empowering and
it is hard.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
It is hard, and it's okay to admit that it's hard. Well, you just said though, like you're not entirely sure what true feminism is right now, and I don't think there is one real answer. My personal answer would be that feminism is choices. Feminism means you have the choice. You, as a woman, or as anyone, in fact, because we know that feminism positively benefits people of all genders, you have the choice. Not what society tells you.
I'm a feminist. Is that helpful?
Absolutely. So it applies to you as well. It's not what society tells you. It's not what patriarchy tells you. It's what you want.
Sure.
That's what it means. So for these women, I'm sure there's an element to which what they were doing inspired other women to pursue choices. And that's great.
Great.
If what happened was they, had certain body types that were very popular in the 90s because that was the cultural zeitgeist at the time.
Right.
What I mean by that is that they were very thin. If they were wearing outfits that were designed to appeal to a certain kind of audience, all of this kind of thing, that slightly skews it, because what they're saying is, actually, you don't really have a choice. What you should do is what we're doing, because that's the right thing to do.
Right.
So if we were going to twist this to try and make it, just bring it into 2020 a little bit more,
sure,
and maybe includes a bit more of that message.
Yeah. Here, totally. And here's what I'm thinking, right? Okay, the movie opens with a very old school and not very forward thinking boarding school. Maybe they're orphans, okay? Maybe they're not. I don't know.
Okay.
Right? We're not going full the Queen's Gambit, but it's definitely a little bit, right?
Okay, yeah. If you liked Queen's Gambit, you'll love this new thing.
And if you didn't, well, come on, watch it. It's on Netflix. So, you got like the girls' school and the boys' school, okay? And there's a little girl, and the girls are told from the beginning, you can't do things, you're women, right?
Yeah.
Teach you how to scrub a pot and how to make your
iron
husband happy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This one little girl, and she's the main character of the movie, we'll call her like Tilda or whatever. She has this bootleg copy of the Spice World soundtrack. Spice World. And she flippin' loves the Spice Girls.
Yes.
Right? Because she feels empowered by them. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't have the internet. She doesn't have TV. She's never seen Spice World. She doesn't know why. But there's something about these women that makes her feel unstoppable. Okay, right?
Is this the story of my life?
Is it the story of your life? Right?
So there's 5 girls. They come from different places. One of them maybe 3 of them come from the boarding school. One of them is like a teacher's daughter or something. One of them comes from,
Sure.
I don't know, she works in the village shop or something.
She's the fishmonger's daughter.
Yeah.
Right?
There's this talent show. They all enter separately and they all fail and they don't get through.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there's some, I don't know, some kid's dad in the audience comes up to them and goes, "Hey, you guys were really good. Do you want to be in a girl band? I specifically made you not get through because I wanted you to not be in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted you to not win so you could win." Which is the actual story of the girl band Little Mix, by the way. That's
Interesting
actually what happened.
fact.
So, yeah.
So they're too good, so they push them back. But but the guy goes, "I work in music, and you've got the goods." Anyway, we know what happens. They're in the school. They get discovered. They become the Spice Girls, and they become famous. And what they do with that fame is they buy the boarding school they went to, and they fix it from being bad to being really good to being empowering.
They make it like a sports school
They
for
make
young women in sport.
Exactly. Sports school for girls and women. And
the Spice Girls are still in it, but they feature as like cameos, and they do some they appear in some dream sequences.
Exactly. They're like the Great Bambino in the dream sequences from The Sandlot, but they're not really in it because this movie isn't about the Spice Girls. It's about
the impact of the Spice Girls,
which is feminism is actually a living, breathing thing in all of our lives. It's about being awake, and it's about choices that we make, right?
Yes.
And these girls went to a bad school that taught boys to run businesses and women and girls to bake cakes. And the upshot at the end is they abolish all of that baloney and they start a school for human beings to learn how to be good human beings.
Yeah.
And I know I know that fans of the Spice Girls will be like, "How come the Spice Girls weren't in their own movie very much?" And the answer will be,
well, they were. They already made it.
Yeah,
so
they already made it.
This is a new one. This is a new one.
This is a new one. It's called Spice World 2. Deal with it. They're not in it that much.
Continue spicing up your life.
And if anyone has a real problem with it, well, here's what we'll tell them. Go back and watch Spice World and tell me to my face that it was a good movie without flinching or closing your eyes or turning all red. You're wrong. Spice World was a bad movie, but the message was good, and that's why we made a better movie. So, Emma, we've had some fun. We've spun it around. But there's only one thing that we still need to do, and that is we need to rate the 1997 classic Spice World. So I would love to know, on a scale of 1 to 5 British cups of tea, how many cups of tea would you give this movie?
I will give this movie a cup of tea.
That's a 1. That's a 1, everybody.
Yes,
that's a 1.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I know it's not fun. I know, hey, I love Mamma Mia. You know the film Mamma Mia?
Mamma Mia,
I
Mamma
love
Mia.
Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I would probably also give it a 1, but I watch it every now and again. I love it. So, it's, I'm not a critic. It's fine. It's fun. It's bad, but it's fun. What about you?
It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. This movie was bad. It gets a 1 because it's bad. Hey, you want to know what my review was? It's a 1 because it was bad. I'm sorry, Mel B. I'm also sorry, Mel C. Right? Your movie was bad. Your band, great. Your music, great. Everything's great. You're fine. You don't need my approval. You're all worth a lot of money. You're all fine. You're in a famous band. It's fine. Spice World is a bad movie. And it had parts that didn't even make sense to anyone. And I didn't like it. And I felt confused. And I'm so... And if I didn't live in Britain, I wouldn't want to go to Britain. Do you know what I mean? Your movie was bad and you should feel bad. But don't feel too bad because you're in the Spice Girls.
Okay.
Too much?
Okay. That's well...
Here's my review. I give it a 1. You know why? It's not a very good movie. But I love the Spice Girls, so I give you a 5, and I give your movie a 1. The end. Anyway, Emma, I think it's time to go.
Well, go on then.
I'm going on then. Thank you for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye. It's a bad movie.